I'll be focusing on my M5. Originally, I was going to use this vlog to talk about the repairs done on my M5, but that didn't work out, so I'll explain more on this vlog. Later, there's a small project on my QX56, and then I close out the vlog doing some local car spotting. On the last episode, I spoke about how I'll be focusing on my M5. There's a few issues with it that I want to address, and I was able to drop it off to the shop. However, about a week later, I decided to pull the plug on the project. What I want to do on this episode is I'm going to go inside my office and talk about some of the experiences I have so far with my M5. My original plan for this vlog was to document all the activity in regards to my M5 and the progress that it's making from how it's sitting now until when all the issues have been resolved. But things change, and so I want to take the time out to share some of my experiences so it can help some of you that are in a similar situation. Now, I won't be focusing on all the bad parts of this vlog because there are actually some good parts. And also, I'm not going to be naming any of the shops that I had these bad experiences with. However, on the end, I do want to mention some shops that I've worked with in the past that I've had really good experiences with. The Southern California E60 M5 community is pretty small and a lot of people know each other. So how I found this particular mechanic was by word of mouth. And it just so happens that this small community knows each other, and this particular individual has an advanced understanding of that chassis. I just want to point out that my M5 is working okay, but I want it to work exceptional. So that's why I am going through this route. And for the record, my M5 is fully functional. I'm able to drive it. There's no check engine lights or any cylinders misfiring. It's just that some aspects of the car is not performing to its optimum levels. What I'm going to do now is run a few slides to explain the 3 items that I wanted to get fixed on this visit at the shop. Now that we're able to identify the problems with the M5 and understand the parts that are needed, the next thing to discuss is the timeline. The mechanic told me that this job will take about 2 days or so, and I was okay with that. So I let him know that maybe I'll give you about a week to get the job done. After a few days, I checked in with the progress, and he hasn't touched it yet. I kept getting different excuses throughout the week, and in the end, a week went by and the car was never touched. At that point, I realized that, you know what, I just gotta get my car back. Since I've had my M5, I've only taken it to 4 shops. And what's interesting is 2 of them were good experiences and the other 2 weren't. As much as possible, I try to do everything in my garage. There are some instances where I don't have the right tools, the supplies, or enough manpower to get the job done. So sometimes I would have to reach out to a shop. The 2 good experiences that I have was, number 1 is when I had a recall on my M5 with the battery cable. I took it to the dealership. They gave me a loaner car and they were done in about 2 days. And they got the car in, called me up, got the car right out. The other experience is with a shop that actually specializes in Porsches. I had a good experience with their shop when they worked on my 911 back in 2022. And the mechanic there was not only skilled, but very professional, especially with his time management. The first time I've had to take my car to a shop is when I needed to get my MR2 painted, and this was more than 20 years ago. The painter that I hired told me the project would be about 3 to 4 weeks. So after a month, I didn't hear from the painter, and I checked in to see if there's any progress, and I was very surprised that very minimal work has been done. I got excuses after excuses, and I said, hey, why don't I just pay for the work that you've done now, and I'll move on to another painter. So long story short, the guy eventually finished the job. However, it took about 2 months to get the job done. Because of experiences like these, I try to develop my own skills. That way I can do as much of the work as I can instead of trying to rely on others. Many years ago, I actually used to work on cars on the side. And I remember when I was doing this, I would always start off with setting expectations and also establishing timelines. That way the communication with me and the customer is established. And if there were any hiccups along the way, I would always provide them with an update. So what it all boils down to now is I'm just going to do this job myself. I don't have a lift, but one of my close buddies does, and he offered to help me. So sometime this year, I'm going to set some time aside so that I can work on my M5. I mentioned earlier on this vlog that I do have some good experiences to share. So the first one I talked about a little bit, and that's when I took my M5 to the dealership to address a recall. And again, I was pretty much in and out within 2 days. And the other shop that I mentioned earlier was called Precision Motion, and they specializes in Porsche 911s. And this is also another shop that's pretty local to me. And I was bummed to find out that either the shop closed or they moved to another location. But the mechanics there and the way they run their operation was really professional, and they get the job done exceptionally. The third shop that I have good experiences with was actually with my 911, and that's my buddy Ben's shop, SSA Auto House. They did the alignment for my 911 when I took my car up to Monterey in 2023. I set an appointment. He was able to take my car, get the job done in a timely manner, and the car is running flawlessly. I'm able to take it to long drives. I've even taken it to the track. So not only is the service exceptional, but also the professionalism. So those are just a few shops where I had really good experiences. It feels really good to have my M5 back in the garage for the whole week. My 911 was parked right in the middle. I don't have that much space to fit the QX56 because of my tools and my fridge. So my 911 had the garage to itself. My original plan when I got my car back from the shop was to work on the voltage regulator on the alternator. And I think I'm gonna stick with that plan. And then after I'm done with that, I could just start scheduling some of the projects for the rest of the jobs on my car. My car is getting that charge malfunction warning on the iDrive, and it's most likely because of a bad voltage regulator. And the voltage regulator is attached to the top of the alternator. And on my car, the alternator is down by this area. It's pretty tough to access it from the top here. What some people do is remove this panel here, remove the radiator fan and some of the hoses so they get access from the top. But even at that, it's pretty tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my car up and approach it from the bottom. I will have to remove my sway bars and also some of the AC lines to be able to get access to the harness and the 3 screws that hold down the regulator. On the last DIY I did on my QX56, I put a temporary fix on the shifter cable. So the bushing came in. I'm going to address that issue right now and secure it permanently. So here's the shifter and the cable. Just gonna put it back into park so you can see the temporary fix right here. I'm going to get some cutters and remove the zip tie so I can secure it properly. So here's the replacement parts. It comes with the bushing, an extra one, and then this small tool that I can use to help prop it into the hole. And then this little pack and this little packet here, I think is lube, so that way I can easily slide it in. If you notice, I'm taking the video from a different angle. I realized that doing this job from the passenger side is much more easier. I'm able to maneuver around so that I could get a better reach for this cable. So now the shift selector cable is connected. Everything is back to OEM. The car spotting on this episode was done locally. I came across this 911 as I was dropping my kids off to school, as well as this Toyota Tundra when I was picking them up. My favorite is this Mexico Blue GT3 RS. It's the very first time I've seen one of these around, so I was excited when I saw it. On the next episode, I'm going to share with you a new toy that I got. At the end of last year, right before I picked up my QX56, I sold my Mazda MX-6, and I kept my Xterra for a little bit, but I recently sold it. So I bought something that I'm really excited about. So that's gonna do it for this episode. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.